It's time to welcome our first guest. At the age of 18, he became the youngest bomb disposal engineer in the British Army after showing a flair, yes, that's right, a flair, I don't write the scripts, for pyrotechnics and fireworks as a teenager. Aged 20, he was recruited by the Ministry of Defence to develop explosives weaponry. And while he hasn't exactly traded in his fireproof vest and protective goggles yet, he has changed tack, bringing his formal explosives training into the artistic world of motion picture special effects and music-led firework displays. Stephen Miller's here, and it is a pleasure to welcome you, Stephen. Now, let's start from the very beginning. All young boys love blowing things up and fire. Why don't you tell us how you actually got into it, rather than just giving it up when you hit puberty or whatever the rest of us do?
Well, I messed around as a teenager with fireworks things, as it's not recommended these days. But,
no.
But when I was 17, I joined the Territorial Army, and the local unit happened to be a bomb disposal unit. Now, you can't actually sign up until you're 17 and a half, so I actually get a note from my mum saying, Steve can come and play with bombs this weekend. And because I was doing the training anyway, just after my 18th birthday, I actually qualified as a bomb disposal engineer. So I was actually qualified before I sat my A-levels. Really?
That is extraordinary. And you've brought a grenade in for us as well, haven't you? So this is presumably something that you were involved with in the TA?
Yep, I've got a couple of grenades on the front there. We've got the standard number 36 grenade, the metal grenade. Yeah. And we've got a Bakelite grenade, which is the number 69 grenade.
And which one's older, actually, out of interest?
They're both about the same sort of vintage. Okay. In fact, I actually dug both of these out of the ground within a couple of feet of each other when I was doing a bomb disposal job.
Oh, really? And where are they from?
These were from Leicestershire, actually, Melton Mowbray.
And used for?
These were used for training. The actual paras use these particular devices for training for the Bridge Too Far mission and that sort of thing.
Oh, OK. Right, so from then you did, what, 3 years or so in that, and then you moved on to research and development with weapons? Yeah,
I was recruited by the MOD. Just a little note in the job centre, assistant scientific officer wanted. So I applied for the job, and when I got there, they said, oh, you do bomb disposal already? Oh, so you know about this stuff. Can you explain this, this and this? And I was, yep, I can explain it all through. Right. Great, just the man we want. Come on in.
Really?
So
it was literally that simple?
Yeah, well, not quite that simple, but pretty close. Right. And the missile warhead I've got down the front here is the sort of thing that I worked on. Large calibre anti-tank shaped charges for taking out main battle tanks and things. OK, now obviously for people like myself, this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this at all. So this is an anti-tank warhead that would be fired from what? That would be mounted on the missile, so it would be fired from a missile launcher of some description. OK. And it would fly through the air, hit the tank, and at the appropriate moment, the shaped charge would go off, which would fire a jet of copper straight into the tank and go straight through the armour. Gosh, that is extraordinary. OK, and so having done your army bit, you then very purposefully, by the sounds of it, moved from the army into the arts. What made you make that decision? Well, I'd always been interested in special effects and things since I was very young. I loved Star Wars and the work of Industrial Light and Magic, so I just loved all that sort of stuff. And so even when I was still working for the MOD, I was running my own little company on the side, working on a lot of student productions and low-budget films. But when I decided to turn it on full-time and went off and haven't looked back since, really. Did you find that there was a lot of competition in getting into special effects in movies? Because I can imagine it's something that a lot of people want to do, but not that many people have the experience and the qualifications that you have. Yeah, it is very difficult. In fact, unfortunately, the industry doesn't actually recognise outside qualifications. So the fact that I knew all about explosives didn't really help me very much. So it had to still go in as a trainee and work my way up. And it's quite a difficult industry to find your way in. Is it a fun thing to do for a job? Oh, yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah. But as you know, on set, there's an awful lot of sitting around doing nothing and then a few minutes of frantic activity, really. OK, I want to look a little bit more into your movie special effects career. And we're going to have a look at one of the films that Stephen's worked on very recently. It's the 2008 film called The Fall, directed by Tarsum Singh. It's a beautifully shot piece. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. The scene we're going to look at is when one of the main protagonists lures the enemy army away from our hero. And this is how he does it.
Kaboom!
is genuinely one of my favourite films of the last 6 months that I've seen, actually, Stephen. Now, that scene that we've seen there is an explosion of a temple, and I believe these bars of TNT are the actual ones used in the film, is that right?
Well, they were using a different scene in the film, but yeah, they were for where one of the heroes shoots the fuse out of the bomb to save everybody's life and things.
OK.
So very heroic stuff.
Now, what we want you to do is just literally talk us through how you made that scene, and I think we're going to be able to see some pictures as well as you did. Now, whereabouts was it you did it?
Well, I just did it at the end of the Top Gear test track at Dunsfold Park. I have to credit the guy I was working for at the time, Adam Howarth, and his model effects company. But what he did, he worked out in India. We produced an engineering drawing of the structure, spent about a month making all the parts, and then a week actually putting it together at the end of the Top Gear test track.
Now, we can see from there it's not full size, it's not life size, is it?
No, it's roughly a quarter size.
OK.
Now, in order to make a model look like it's bigger, what you have to do is to cheat the viewer. Human beings are tuned to understand that gravity works at a certain speed and things fall at a certain speed. So if you actually play it back to slower rate, as you can see here.
Yeah. So the first one, it looked like it was small because it fell too quickly.
And now it now looks like it's a bigger thing because it's breaking up more slowly and the bits are taking longer to fall to the ground. So by doing this at different shooting speeds, you can achieve the effect of a model looking much bigger than it really is.
It's absolutely extraordinary. What sort of explosives were actually inside that building as we see it explode there? What's actually inside it?
Right, I had 176 individual explosive charges all wired up in sequence to create the effect the director wanted. Originally, we were just going to do one big bang and the whole thing falls down. But because the director had this vision of the actor in the middle of the building and having set off a bomb, the shockwave travels out from the centre, hits the doors in the centre of each side and then spreads up into the far corners. He wanted this progressive explosion that gradually broke up, so it required 176 individual charges to all sequenced at 25 millisecond intervals, so it took quite a bit of setting up.
Extraordinary. You literally have every little boy's dream job, and not only that, but you also do some work with fireworks now as well, is that right?
Yeah, I do quite a few firework displays and things. I specialise in doing what I call bursts on the beat, which is synchronising it to music. Fireworks, I've been doing them for years, so I find it a bit easy, so I want to make it more difficult for myself by actually getting the fireworks to actually burst directly on the drum beats with the music. So generally rock music is pretty good for that.
Yeah.
And I use things like this plunger box I've got down the front here.
Yeah.
And I'll get the mayor or lady mayoress out the front of the display, and they push down on the plunger. Right. And that sets the whole show off going.
Like an old Charlie Chaplin film or something.
Absolutely.
Like that.
I say it's 100 years old, still works beautifully, and I'll use it whenever I can because it just looks really cool.
And these days, obviously you do that for, as you say, because it looks good. These days, for detonation, they use something more along the lines of the one that's next to it.
Yeah, the small green device there is actually a 4-channel firing unit, which will actually fire down, have the same effect as the big plunger box, but can fire 4 channels and up to about 7 kilometres of wire you can put on the end of that, and you still have a bomb on the end of it, would still go off.
Unbelievable. Stephen, do you know what? I think I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Unfortunately, we need to move on, but thank you so much for coming. It's a pleasure to meet you. We're going to go over now to Frankie.